Today's story is an absolute bridezilla. And the thing about this bridezilla, her sister is getting married at the same day as her. And you will not believe what this bridezilla has up her sleeves. Actions are like seeds. What you do today, you're likely going to reap the consequences in the future. I come from a family of 4. My parents gave birth to I and my younger sister, Amanda. I was older than my younger sister with just a year gap. I loved my family. Besides my younger sister, we had no reason whatsoever to complain. Yeah, Amanda was a real problem and embarrassment. Amanda always acted as though she was constantly in competition with everyone else. It did not matter if she was at home or outside the house, with family, or in the midst of friends and all. Amanda always wanted to be the center of attention. This made her become antagonistic of people, mostly her fellow girls, whom she felt were a threat to her. I agree that my younger sister Amanda's beautiful, but a good character makes your beauty shine, something my sister lacked. Amanda just could not stand watching her fellow woman being praised and appreciated. It had to be her. I was not one to put up with Amanda's nasty attitude. My parents tried to straighten her up while we were growing, but they failed. Personally, I feel they didn't really do enough, but that was them. I had series of fights with Amanda, but that did not stop her from seeing me the way she saw everyone else, her competition. I got into college a year before she did, and in order to save costs for my parents, they asked her to live with me. I knew it was a bad idea because we would have steady issues, but I just couldn't tell my parents to get her an apartment of her own. They were the one paying the bills. My sister reacted the way I had expected her to when my parents told her that she would be living with me. She demanded to have a place of hers, otherwise she was going to reject the admission which the college offered her. My parents were obviously not pleased with her attitude, but this was something they had gotten used to. And because they did not want to have a daughter sitting idle at her home while mates were in school, they agreed to her demands to get her an apartment of hers, even though it was going to be financially strenuous to them. If getting an apartment was all Amanda demanded, it would have been a little bit tolerable. But, as was typical with her, she needed something bigger, and of course better than the place I lived. Well, my parents sponsored her extravagant lifestyle with the little that they had because they were not so rich. At some point, I suspected that Amanda was being given a higher monthly allowance than myself. With that kind of life that Amanda lived in school, you would think that she was the president's daughter. She mingled with girls from rich homes while keeping her distance from me so that I would not, quote, embarrass her with my moderate lifestyle. My own sister was embarrassed by me. She began visiting clubhouses and all, and I tried talking to her, but she had just shut me out, so it was at that point I called the attention of my parents to the situation. They summoned her home and spoke to her about the reports that they've received from me. A report that she vehemently denied. She claimed to have not visited that said clubhouse. It was when she got back to school that she was warning me to stay out of her business. I tried looking out for my younger sister, but what I got in return was an insult and a warning. I stayed clear of her and minded my business from then on. Amanda and I both graduated from college and we returned to our parents' house. As expected, they quit giving us the allowance that we got while we were at school, since we ought to have jobs that provided for us. I went out on a daily basis to go seek a job, but my sister Amanda never even bothered. She had her needs supplied by the numerous men flocking around her, right from college days. My sister had suitors who were willing to get married to her even before she graduated, but obviously she never accepted any. She was not willing to tie herself down with a life yet with just one man. Getting married meant that she would no longer have men flocking about her. My parents tried to advise her to settle down with one of the reasonable suitors, but she was just dismissing their advice. The worst part was the fact that she did not outrightly tell these men of her disinterest in getting married. She kept them hovering over her because she loved the attention and the things she was gifted. Well, it was her life to live, and all my parents or anyone could do was just talk about it. She alone had the power to take whatever decision she wanted. I, for one, would not get myself involved in her matter. Her warning to mind my business was something that I clearly understood and determined to follow. One thing was certain, though, the repercussions would be hers alone to bear, and I meant it. My efforts in going out daily to seek a job soon paid off as I got a job with a construction firm. I began bringing things to the table from my earnings. It was not like my parents demanded I did so. No, they were both working and did not need my money, but I did it as an act of appreciation for all they've done for me. This act so moved my parents that my mother began to sing my praisal. My sister watched in jealousy as our parents both thanked me, saying that my actions have proved to me that I would take care of them if the need ever arose in the future. Well, after about 3 months in my job, I began dating a client whom he'd previously worked for, and he proposed to getting married to me. I said yes. I took him to meet my family, my parents, and Amanda. My parents were really elated. The wedding date was fixed and preparations were underway. Everything was going really great until Amanda suddenly gathered us together to introduce her fiancé to us. My parents were thrilled. I was happy for my sister, even though I wondered what would have changed her mind to finally settle down with a guy. It came as quite a shock when she told us that her wedding date had been fixed too. Oh, and it coincided with mine. I was so sure it was not really a coincidence. It was my sister's plot to divert the whole attention to herself once again. I suspected that she's picked one of the numerous suitors and compelled him to set up the wedding date to be the same day as the day I wed. My parents tried reasoning with her to see if she could push her date off a bit, but she began playing the victim card by saying my parents preferred me over her and all. She claimed that if they equally loved their children and did not play favorites, then why was she the one asked to push her wedding date and not me? I didn't fall for her gimmicks, but my parents did. In order to seem impartial, they suggested that both weddings be held on the same day, and in the same venue, as they could not be different places at the same time. Well, I had no issues with this proposal, and my sister surprisingly agreed to it too. Since my sister and I were going to have our wedding together, it meant that we had to work together to make the ceremony successful. My sister became more friendly than ever, and our parents were actually glad that we were not having any more animosity. Even though her fiancé and mine were both rich, and we had different taste, she was exorbitant while I was moderate. We both found a good compromise. So, I let my guard down where Amanda was, and it was really stupid of me to think that my sister would just change overnight like this. I never knew that she had found ways during the few times which we spent together to slip diet pills directly in my drink. I gradually began losing weight, and I didn't know why. It gave everyone concern except for my sister. Her plan was to upstage me on that very day. My fiancé took me to the hospital to run a series of tests. A trace of diet pills were found in my blood. I just knew it was my sister, because it was the kind of thing she would do. Well, my fiancé suggested that we postpone our wedding till I recovered from my weight, and get my strength back. But I refused. I was not going to give my sister the satisfaction. I kept my findings between my fiancé and I. I was going to let my parents know about it after the wedding, because I did not want them looking disturbed on the wedding day of their 2 daughters. I told them that the doctor claimed I was losing weight because I was just under stress. They bought it. The wedding day finally came, and Amanda was all over the place. I did my best to look gorgeous and all, but I was no match for her. While my sister being admired by everyone, I could tell they had some thoughts going through their minds when they looked at me. I was looking emaciated, sickly even, on a day which I was supposed to be celebrating. I was pitied, thanks to my sister, and I just feigned happiness, but I boiled with anger on the inside. Only my husband knew how I felt. I was glad that he loved the way I was regardless, and that was probably one of the reasons I did not give my sister a real good beatdown on her wedding, because, well, she honestly deserved way worse. The day finally came to an end, and I had to wait a few weeks to put on some weight and regain my strength before I invited my sister and her husband to our parents' house. My husband and I were seated with my parents when Amanda and her husband came strolling in. I wasted no time in dashing at her with every strength in me. I failed to inflict an injury on her, though, as my husband held me back. Everyone was shocked at my action. It was unexpected. After I calmed down, I proceeded to give them the explanation they were all waiting for. Everyone, including Amanda's husband, felt pity for me. My sister, well, she tried denying the allegations, but it was to no use. My parents knew she was capable of this, and even her husband, who had been married to her for just a few weeks, was already seeing some ugly character traits he never saw before marriage. He apologized for the actions of his wife, and my parents expressed their displeasure with her, even though they begged to forgive my sister. The annoying part was that my sister Amanda remained unapologetic. Here was someone whom my parents were pleading for, looking the least bit interested in the outcome of the event. She just wanted the world to revolve around her at all times. For the first time in my life, I disobeyed my parents. I made it clear that I had no business with my sister in this life or in the next. We all went back to our various homes. My husband and I lived peacefully. Life was near perfect for us. Well, the reverse was the case for my sister. She began having a series of quarrels with her husband. My sister Amanda was just not ready for marriage. She didn't understand it. She got married because she wanted to upstage me. And though she had her wish, she gradually was reaping the consequences. It was true that her husband had money and did his best to see that his marriage was a success. But you need more than money to have a successful marriage. Both partners must play their roles equally, and though Amanda's husband played his, my sister was not willing to play her part. She'd gotten tired of the union within months of getting married. She began flirting with guys on the side. Well, her husband learned about it, and even she tried denying the allegations. He was not convinced because she kept out late nights. He called on my parents to caution her. My parents visit her and try reasoning with her to do all it takes to save her wedding. That was less than a year old. But my sister told them that all they heard was just rumors from people who wanted her home crashed. My parents left my sister home with hopes that the matter would not escalate. Their son-in-law received the greatest shock of his life when he caught my sister red-handed on the bed with another man. It was the height of it. He bundled my sister back to our parents while he filed for divorce quickly. My parents encouraged my sister to make peace with her husband before the divorce, but my sister was not interested in staying married to him. She felt that she was still going to have other suitors flock around her, just as they did when she was single. How foolish she was. The divorce was finally completed, and it ended in favor of her husband, who left the whole of his property. Few weeks after my sister was returned to our parents, it dawned on her that she was in a difficult time. There's no money coming in. She's unwilling to work. My parents on their own were fed with her childishness and stupidity. Then most they could do for her was give her shelter. Besides that, my sister was all on her own. It was not long before my sister started prostituting herself all around town. She soon got pregnant, and she was really not sure who the father was, though she had 2 people in mind. 2 people who did not want to have anything to do with my sister or the pregnancy. My parents had been keeping me updated on everything going on, and though I'd chosen to cut my sister off, I just had to intervene when I had my parents told me that she was having complications with the pregnancy and needed to be operated on. The doctors made it clear that only one life could be saved. Well, we chose my sister. It took some weeks for her to recover after being discharged from the hospital. She'd lost a lot of blood from her ordeal, that she equally lost a lot of weight, just like when I had those diet pills. I discovered that even though I was angry at my sister for upstaging me and messing up what was supposed to be the best day of my life, I was not in any way willing to lose her. She was my sister after all. I'm not a wicked person who'd be willing to let her blood sister die because of something that happened in the past. Yeah, she hurt me and had equally warned me to mind my business. But she's family. And my family is my business. My husband and I arranged for her to be brought to our home where I nursed her back to health. It was during this period that she finally apologized for the way and manner she behaved towards me and my parents. I forgave my sister despite the pain. Well, she did not need to beg twice. We compelled her to stay with us for some months so that my husband could get her a job. We got her a nice apartment and equally gave her some cash to live off of while she worked. My sister and I have grown closer ever since. At the end of the day, it turned out her repentance was genuine after all. I'm currently pregnant with my first child while my sister's putting her life together. Finally, my parents have that peace of mind that eluded them oh so long ago. I'm just grateful that everything turned out nice. Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, I absolutely hated the sister when I was first reading, but I'm not gonna lie, it seems karma struck. Things just got worse and worse for the sister throughout the story, but at least we could end it on a positive note. It seemed that OP took her sister back, let her live with her while they were nursing her back to good health. I want to know from you guys one question. Would you have done the same thing? Knowing everything your sister's done to you, treated you like for years. When she was down and out, would you take her back and just hope for the better? I want to know your thoughts on that, guys. Drop it down below. If you want to see more stories, you can check out my other channels. You can find them directly below in my description. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.